Greg, do men talk?
Yeah,
True
thank
or
you,
false?
thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
Tony. Yeah, so first of all, I think I will come in from the angle of what causes, some of the mental health challenges that we may have today. First of all, is from my own angle, I would say when you don't have what is filling the mind, when the mind is empty, then it becomes a problem. The mind begins to wander, you start meditating over negative issues. But when you fill the mind with lots of positive content, get busy, just get doing things, meet with friends, get involved, learn how to play music, just get busy. So it is difficult for you to start having mental health because what causes that is the repetition of the negative experiences, the repetition of pressure. It could be financial pressure, it could be family, your wife or extended family members. It could be work. It could be anything really. So that little thing that happens when you begin to repeat that thought, you realize that you amplify that thought, and it can lead from that single simple thing to other things, whereby you're not like, oh, you start seeing yourself as a much more inferior person. So what should you do to prevent that? That would be let yourself go as someone who wants to prevent you want to have strong, to have your mental health to be stable. So, and then what do men talk? And it all depends on the context we're talking about here. Do men talk? Is it about family or do they talk about business? I think that men talk when it comes to what they are interested so much about. Men talk about football. When you bring football, when you bring politics, you realize that they can share their thoughts, they can shout, they have fun. But when it comes to family now, if I can really narrow it down towards that side, you realize that the reason why one of the reasons why men don't talk would be, for many reasons, but one of them could be that they've been judged by opening up, like the second speaker said, which is very, very true. When you open up so much, your partner begins to judge you based on that. That could be one of those reasons. And when you find yourself being judged by what you have said, simply because you are being sincere, and that obviously creates a mark. You're like, no, I don't want to say anymore. I'm being judged because I wasn't able to provide for the family. I wasn't able to do this correctly. I was judged for that. That could be one of the reasons why men don't talk. But I would say, in terms of bringing an opinion, I would say that it would be expedient if men, as a matter of fact, should be intentional about expressing themselves, just like women. Because if you talk about if it is not about just family, if anything happens to any man today, life must go on. Your children must carry on. Your wife may go look for another man to marry. There could be any other thing. So I would say whether it is don't just decide not to talk because you are angry or you are allowing yourself to be depressed, to be pulled down. You have to be intentional about saying my life, first of all, before my wife's life, before my children's life. So go ahead and express yourself. Thank you. I'm back to you, Tony.
Thank you. That was very insightful. I like it. I like it. I mean, to be honest with you, I think, like you were saying, it depends on what context we're talking in. And I think the context I would be sometimes talking in the context is when we have problems. Yeah. And those problems are leading us to think negativities. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head on that side. I think there's one other person that I need to bring in.
Okay, good evening. Okay, good evening, Mr. Tony.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah. So, what's your take on this? What's your take?
Okay. So the reason why some men don't talk is because if they open up, they may use it against them, especially based on when it comes to family. Women they always they have this scale of holding somebody, trapping him down. When you say something, or when you tell your wife something that the experience or your mistake or your misfortune, they will use it against you, start telling you, why did you do this? So why do you do this? So that kind of thing will make men to lock up. So that is why some men, when they have issue, instead of to share it with your family or the wife, they will go outside and go and talk to his friends or the person that is closer to them. So that is why some of them don't open up. Like for instance, I have somebody, she was having some health issues. So because of the kind of woman, kind of wife he married, so he refused to talk to the woman, and the health issue he's having is an infection, So he was trying to hide it. Say, if I tell this woman now, I know she will use it against me. So the man have to go outside and go and share the information, which is very wrong. So the reason why you marry your wife is for her to be there for you, even the good time and bad time. So if the woman can understand that and stop using these things against men, that is why you see back home, the time is supposed to come and they marry. So all these things are barrier, that always make men to not open up. Some men, they like to open up, but because of this attitude they display, so such thing can resist them from, opening up. That is why some men don't open up when they come to issues of life.
Thank you. Well spoken.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I mean, there's a lot there. There's a lot. Shola, do you want to come in on this point? Because I think I've gone around town.
Yeah, you done the rounds, huh?
Yeah, done
No,
around.
look, I'll tell you what, guys. I'm actually loving what I'm hearing. This is healing in itself, because what I've heard so far is so much positivity in terms of mindset. And I can I throw a suggestion at it, Tony?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Sure.
Please, I don't want to come across as, I hope I'm not being patronizing in any way. Seriously, that's what I actually feel with my spirit. I'm actually hearing a lot of positive,
But
strong, forward thing. Yeah, go on.
I think, Shola, that could be to do with the experiences. Because I think we
Definitely.
as men on this call, we're
Mm,
experienced, and
that's it.
we've gone through quite a bit.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
whether
right.
it be ups,
That's right.
the things is
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Those of you that know me, I say life is a roller coaster. You're up and you're just it's gliding, and then you're down. But when you're down, you're supposed to be refilling. You
Exactly.
understand? To be able to
Exactly.
go
Yeah.
further up. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why.
I,
Oh, Chisha. Yeah.
yeah. And that's it. So I think you hit the nail on the head there, because I think I mentioned, I don't know whether some people heard it at the beginning of the class. I said, look, I spent some time in Nigeria, and I had some certain harrowing experiences. But remember, I used that word, that through those scars have become my trophies. And so coming back to UK, because of those, I don't know, it's a form of training, I suppose, hardened experiences, that when you come here, you can do anything. And that's why I find it very difficult moving amongst black men here, because the positive mindset is not so much there. It's very negative. It's very kind of, I use this phrase, sometimes can be what we call mamby-pamby, very kind of soft soapish. There isn't that steely manhood going on. And, there's so much talk about the system and our women, which, I find, what I mean? It's something that we need to make more of a kind of incision into. Can I just say something though about, I think it was the gentleman that spoke after me, when he talked about uh, mental health, and I think it was alluding to the institution of racism side of things. I just want
Yeah.
to
That's
lay
just.
this. Look, so yeah, I just want to bring us back to that point very briefly, because, and we know that racism exists. We know the institutionalized is there. There's no getting away from that. But I want to say this in, because I'm a believer in that the work in terms of progressing and advancing now begins with ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? It begins with ourselves. And I'm saying this to say that back in those days, Tony, before I met you at school, when I was at secondary school, in the 70s, I was one of the few Nigerian guys in school in this country, yeah, in London. And so I laugh about it now. But whenever they used to read the school register, Tony, you may not have had it because you've got the English name Tony, eh? But when you have a name as Olushola Egbale read from the register, and they just destroy your name, they decimate your name. I used to cringe whenever it was register time for each lesson. Now, I'm saying this to say it wasn't the white people that laughed and made fun of your name, of my name. it was my fellow black brothers.
Yeah. Mm.
Yes,
Yeah.
obviously they're not Nigerians, but it was black people because so in those days we could only we identified ourselves by color to a degree. Yes, we identified.
Yeah.
We couldn't, and they used to crack up. And I used to. So then, in terms of your identity, when your identity is being slayed, it can start to affect you mentally. It can start to give you some kind of traumatic experiences that may seem very small and of no consequence, but I tell you guys, it's a big thing. And it's only because my parents taught me the meaning of my names. You understand? I managed to maintain a good, great strong stance, and I was able to kind of override that. But some people weren't able to do that, and up till today, some people aren't able to do that. And so, one's identity is a key factor in terms of how what affects our mental stability too.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, sorry for interjecting. I understand what you're saying. Why do you not elevate the positive? But here's the thing. Yeah, there's two things I wanted to talk about. Our experiences define who we are as a person. You could either take your experiences as negative and let it destroy you. You could either take your experiences as a positive, a learning process, and you learn from it. Yeah. So if you told somebody a secret and they use it against you, hence, you don't tell them next time because you're learning. So life is about a learning process. Yes, it seems like a negative, but yet it's positive because we're here.
Of course.
We're alive. Yeah. And when I was at primary school, or secondary school, I had people laugh at me myself, or African bullet cake and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. But the thing is, in my school, primary school, secondary school, they didn't have any single black book regarding slavery, colonization. So the people that laugh at you don't have, I didn't have that information until I watched Roots. Yeah. Now, our relationship with the society forms our experiences. Yeah. And adds to our database. And we use that as we reference that as a decision which we make in order to progress. So I understand what you're saying. Why don't we accentuate the positive rather than the negative? But our negative form allows to progress on the positive.
I think
Yeah.
one of the
Can I just respond to that, Tony? I mean, sorry to I don't want to try to monopolize the time. I hope it's not coming across. Tony knows me. I like to think myself as a very extremely positive young man. I don't take that point as a negative. What we're trying to do. There's no right or wrong. I hope in this discussion that we're having. It's just to point out some factors. Now, I want to put the bit about what the gentleman said about the information not being in schools and so forth. I'm a believer in our first school should be the home. And I want to tap back into one of the gentlemen who mentioned before about peace, or would you mention the word peace or stability or so forth? Something about the home. And that's another angle in itself. As you rightly said, Tony, we've got to be intentional about the topics and the things that we discuss. Now, again, one of the things, growing up here was the fact that, my father, my late father, may rest in peace, he made sure in terms of my education as a black man, as a black boy, was being done through the home. You understand what I'm saying? So it wasn't about relying on the school. Yeah. And I think that again, that's another area, another topic, if you like, the one needs to kind of hone in on and zone in on, because, having those forthright principles being instilled from the home. It didn't really matter what they were doing in the school. It didn't affect me. It didn't traumatize me. What I explained before. I was just saying personally that it can affect people. We're all different. We all have different thresholds. So yeah, I just want to just clarify that part really.
I think one of the things that I think it's the first thing. It's good that we're on this call talking. That's number one. Because think about it now. Where would you be right now? You'd be talking to yourself. If you had any issues, you'll be talking to yourself, and you'll be trying to find a solution within yourself. And sometimes that can look like you're going crazy. Yeah. I think also, I think what we need to do is look.
Talking to yourself is not a bad thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
talking too much, too much to yourself, talking too much to yourself is a bad thing. Yeah, and sooner or later you will start thinking that you're not talking to yourself, you're talking to somebody else, and yourself will start duplicating, and the problems will start duplicating. So what it is we need to just share some of these things. I think there's issues with family life. You know, I think one of the things that I, as a man, I would say, is that the odds are against you. I say this to say this to my boys too. When I say the odds are against you, I'll say this, and this is deliberate. I'm saying it deliberate so that you can comment and you can
You're playing advocate.
and
You're
you can
playing
fight.
advocate now. Yeah?
You can fight me on it. Yeah, the odds are against you. When I say the odds are against you, when you talk about the fact that, okay, you get married, you have kids. Now, when you're married, it's you and your wife, isn't it? Yeah. When you now have kids, it's you, your wife, and your kids. Now you take second place now. Yeah. You take second place. You're no longer first place. It's now the wife and the kids. And then the children tend to gravitate towards the mother. Yeah. And eventually, as they grow up, you hopefully converge back to the wife. But every now and then the kids come in, need some money, need some this. So everyone comes to dad for money, usually, and everyone comes to mom for love. Yeah, you understand? And so that's one of the things that we also need to understand, that this also affects our mental health. Nobody really, if mom's not talking, say, Mom, you okay? If dad's not talking, dad's dad, isn't it? Yeah, there's no problem. Dad cannot have a problem. Yeah, if there's a problem in the house, yeah, I say this to some of my friends. I say, if there's a problem in the house, we know we have equality. Don't worry. I agree with that. We have equality. We have equal responsibility. But if there's a problem in the house, your relatives, your in-laws, who do they look at first? Who do they look at first? You know it's likely to be the dad. Yeah. If there's a breakup in a relationship, who do they look at first? So that's why I say the odds are against us. But I want you guys to just comment on that and say what do you want? Say someone tell me more. Okay, Hero's put his hands up. Okay, there you go. I've woken Hero up.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're very right, Mr. Tony. These things they are practical things. Me as a married person for some years now, sometimes I sit back and ask myself, why did I even get married in the first place? What is it about? Honestly, I don't know. Some people pretend a lot, but I think marriage is overrated. Marriage is overrated because we die in silence. Like we said, nobody talks to anybody. There are things that are bothering your heart, but it seems like you're a milking cow. You are the ATM of the house, Every now and then, it's either issue of money, like December, this period now. Everybody's making demands. You just wake up in the morning, there are bills to pay, there are things to do. And asking yourself, what is it about? What's it about? If you try to complain, people misinterpret your mood. What is this and what is that? Women are more emotional than logic. If you try to make sense, we're going to pay school fees by January. Why don't you do this? They're not listening to you. All right. So I feel like there's so much pressure on the man. Honestly, I don't know how others feel. I don't know how they are dealing with it. But I feel like sometimes I ask myself, what is this about? What am I actually doing in this? If I'm alone by myself, would I have been better off? Because sometimes I feel like I'm not well trained to handle some of the pressure I'm taking. How to be a good parent, how to be a good husband, how to be a good son, how to be a good, everything good, 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 good. You're not expected to make a mistake. And when you make a mistake, they want to stone you to death. It's crazy. Yeah, so I agree with you, Mr. Tony, 100%.
Well, I'm sure you get, or
Me? Yes,
yeah,
please.
yeah.
Look, you know what? Everything you said, Hero, is look. Again, I like to say, look, we're being real. We're being real. Practically, that is the that is the stance, isn't it? Look, I've been married now 25 years, and I've had some of the same emotions and thoughts as Hero there, and we're being real. But you see, Antonio, you mentioned the word and it's a very key word, understanding. Right? The key to everything is about understanding, the understanding why the role that we have is what it is. Right? Nowadays, over these last few years, I've sat down and gone through and to and fro, and just like Hero said, why is it like this? Why? Well, the cash, the emotions, why? I mean, like, the conclusion I came to, Lee, is it hits me. So they say, there's a saying, it says, to whom much is given, much is required. Right? To whom much is given, much is required. We're men. And we have a different sort of makeup from the females, totally different, which is why we're men. And it's going to be hard. Of course it's hard. If it's not hard, something's wrong. Right? If something is wrong. To whom much is given, much is required. All of us on this platform, we've mentioned the fact that we're fathers or grandfathers, right, or husbands. The amount of blessings that are contained in all of those areas, I don't believe we can put a price on it. Now, okay, some people might say, look, why can't I just be alone? Listen, loneliness is a terrible thing, right? Nobody wants to leave this earth or at their appointed time lonely. You understand what I'm saying? With no partner or children and so forth. Loneliness, we might think it's cool now, but I'm telling you, down the line, loneliness is not a good thing at all. Yeah, and so I'm going to leave it on that. You know,
Brother,
who
can I
much is being
jump in there? Can I jump in there? Can I jump in there?
Please,
quickly?
please,
Can I jump in there
please,
quickly?
please.
Now, you've got to be
Please
careful.
do.
You've got to be careful when you talk about being alone and loneliness. There are people that are together and they're lonely. So you can be married
Yeah.
and be more lonely
And
than
still alone.
somebody that's single.
True.
Yeah.
So that let's
True.
not get that. For
True.
me,
True.
don't get that wrong. You understand?
True.
There are people, because they have disputes with their partners, they're not talking. Because the way they're doing things, one partner doesn't like it, they're not talking. I actually think those people that are together like that are more lonely than somebody that doesn't have a partner. So
True.
you see? So you got to be careful on that.
True.
Yeah.
But you see, so no, I agree with you. I fully agree. But this is why I'm using this word, and I hope it's not a word that's just blasé trying to cover anything. But I said the key to everything is understanding. It's coming to an understanding. You're quite right. People can be in the same place, and it looks like they're together physically, but emotionally they're miles apart. They're light years apart. Very true word. And that's why I say it comes back to the understanding of those setups, the understanding of the relationship, the understanding of it. Understand, even when we talk about understanding, it's about understanding money, understanding love does not hold a marriage or a relationship together. That's rubbish. That's nonsense. It's the understanding of what that, you know what I mean? That mindset is. Put it that way. You're right, Tone. I agree with that.
I just want to interject. Yes, love, but but the most important part, in my opinion, in adding to what you're saying, you're correctly right, is wisdom. Your wife must have wisdom.
Definitely.
But the thing we also need to understand, I was watching this documentary, and this documentary says, I married my wife when she was in Nigeria. And when we came over here, she divorced me and took everything. But when she was in Nigeria, when she sees the extended family, she would dobale and prostrate and respect and act like a wife. But as soon as she got here, her friends, the social media is a killer to women. Because they see everything in perfect, crystal clear, and that is indoctrinated, and then they pass that thought and thinking onto you, and you're thinking, where's that coming from? Why is it that when they come over from Nigeria, they divorce, and the rate of divorce in Nigeria minimum?
Yeah, thanks for that, Derek. Yeah. I saw you come in. I think I was just about to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just as I said, we're looking at this issue, and now we look at it more from a family side, which is very, very important and core in the happiness of men and also the happiness of the family, because we should not only be looking at it for on the man's side. If the woman is happy, you'll be happy. So if you're looking at family, because we're looking at it from the point of a family life, I think what is it, Shola? What Shola was saying
That's
about
right. Yeah.
about understanding. I think it is very, very important. The understanding is very important. And I would say you don't look at where you fell down, you look at where you hit your foot. Don't look at where you fell down, look at where you hit your foot. When we start relationships, looking at our African side, the culture, you wait until some approval is made on the man's side and the woman's side from the family for you to know. But most of our relationships are built on social media. We meet on parties, we meet on workplace, which is nice. But we don't do any background check or search on the partner, both the man and the woman. Because sometimes you can have a very good wife, but the man could be the side who is causing the problem because of the culture, the attitude, the behavior which is coming from. I think for me, we should look at the understanding. As we say, we learn from the mistakes we make. And if there's understanding in the relationship, we can learn. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect, but if we learn from our mistakes and make it grow, the relationship will grow. I've been with my wife for over 30 years. Should have been for over 25 years. There have been many mistakes, many misunderstandings. But we look at the main focus is staying together and making it work. I think that's what we should look at. From the family side, for the disadvantaged men, how do we make it work? How can we make it work within the family? There's nothing that's with no solution. Some men or family will leave their wives or partners for something. So, oh, you abused me. You told me something that was not right. But yet, that same man will go and marry a woman who is divorced and have kids. So what I'm saying is, if you go into that level, it means she had made a mistake. Why didn't you try and work something out with understanding with the person you had, the wife? It might be a trivial thing, but because of ego and our culture and things, we can blow it up to the point where the family might come in, especially with us who have in-laws, families, and this. You might be staying with your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, or your brother-in-law, or these in-laws or friends. They could just blow it up to other things, something else. So, and with the social media intervening, I think we should look at the understanding. If we look at understanding and believe it can be resolved, I think it would be resolved. And again, when we get married, let's listen to that vow we take. The vow is very, very powerful. When I did mine, I didn't.
Can you remind us of the vow, please? Can you remind us of it?
You forgot, so that
the one that's important. I want to hear it.
No, you become one.
Yeah.
You become one. And that oneness is a very, very guiding guidance that we can look at.